Good evening, foals, fillies, ponies of all ages. Welcome to the corner booth of the Rift Cafe. This is the Cornerview, where we take a closer look at various content creators within the My Little Pony fandom. I'm your host, the Jester Pony Phoolery, and with me is our Colt of the Hour, the incredibly analytical Past Analysis. Why don't you say hello, sir?
Hello, yes. It's been a while since I've been on any one of these interview shows, probably for good reason. I gotta ask before we start, why did you choose to interview me? I know I haven't done anything in a couple years now that's solo, and I kind of think someone would mention it in the comments, so I'm just want to get that out there.
Well, you were a notable figure, and you still are in some ways. Some may have seen you as a flash in the pan if they don't, listen to various podcasts and things. You had not one but two moments with Dr. Wolf. You've worked with the likes of Brawny Buck and Toon Critic, and at one point, you were a known name in this analysis scene. Heck, you clocked in slightly over 2,000 subscribers, and you continue to appear, as I said, on multiple podcasts. So sure, you're not in the spotlight anymore. However, that's not what this show is about. This show isn't about focusing on those who are in the spotlight or are potentially, in the know or are relevant to the current situation. It's about examining people who've made a mark on the entire fandom. And I'd argue that you've made one. Does that satisfy your curiosity?
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely does. And I have to say I'm a bit flattered.
The reason I enjoyed your work is because season 4 was when I'd taken a bit of a break from MLP, and I got back into it around season 4. Mm-hmm. And your fascination with equestrian history and earth ponies, hit a note with me.
Ooh, yes.
Some would wonder, though, why earth ponies? What was it about them that drew you to what some see as the weaker of the three races?
That's an interesting question. I think the reason would simply be, I think they're I don't know, I feel like they have the most potential. I feel like every single race has potential, and I think for earth ponies, what's interesting is being someone who doesn't have magic or flight when tons of people, even maybe your close friends, do. So I think that's kind of interesting. And plus, I suppose, I don't know, the symbolism of the ground and of earth, I'm always kind of fascinated with that. So I guess that's the big reason.
And what about the history of Equestria? What drew you to that in particular?
I mean, that was more so just because I have a pretty broad interest in history in general. I major in history. That's actually the first major I got, with sociology coming later. And, anything that I get really interested into, like MLP, I tend to get interested in the history of it as well.
When you started off your career as an analyst, you seemed to be the most pleasantly surprised with Twilight's change to alicorn status. Why was that?
Ooh, very good question. I actually haven't gotten that one before. I looked at the changes that they brought out with Alicorn Twilight in a peculiar sense. I mean, to an extent, I thought that what they were going to do in season 4, what they wound up doing in season 4 is what they were going to do. But one thing that I found charming about it was a lot of people were talking smack about how, she doesn't seem to have any role. People really don't seem to care about her. And I feel like that further divorces from kind of what you'd expect. It divorces from, she's a princess now, so that would mean she would have all this authority. Well, really, it seems that there was that in the premiere, but afterwards it didn't really hold up at all. I mean, maybe in a couple instances, but otherwise it didn't. And I thought that was kind of a divorce from the expectation of, she's a princess. I feel like in Equestria, there is perhaps a much more rigorous standard for being revered. I think, of course you have the nobility and stuff like that, but I don't think that in order for someone like Twilight to get notoriety, she can't just get a title and, okay, now she's beloved. I think that's interesting. And also in the premiere specifically, I felt like they emphasized friendship over the princesshood, which I think was really a cool, interesting move. And I kind of liked that, for a little bit, their friendship was questioned in terms of just status, that there was a little bit of a status play going on. And I compliment AJ, unlike most, for, showing that. It was an interesting thing. We haven't really seen anything like that since the premiere. That was a cool.
Season 4 seemed to be the last season to spark your drive to analyze and review episodes. Have other seasons just not caught your attention, or was there something more to this?
Well, I think that the answer would be a little bit of both. When I was really active in season 4, part of it was done, I think, out of a desire to really get, reviews out there and be as up to date and be current with it, because of course that's a huge thing that still goes on now, is getting things out and being, out there within the week. I think I wanted to do that, but I think after a while that just took so much of my time away, and I wound up having other avenues of kind of analysis, such as on Skype. I mean, I talked with so many people back then and onward on this stuff. So it kind of got, trying to make content was a little bit, it was too much for what it was worth. And I had another avenue. Now, the other side of it is I hated season 5. I hated season 5.
You and many others.
Yes, me and many others. And part of it is I just don't want to be a broken record. When I make something, I want there to be some level of surprise for what people come to think I'm going to have, what my views will have. I don't want to become someone who is making content and people kind of already have an idea as to what he's going to think. Like, if that's the case, I would just rather not make the video. I think part of what I would rather make is stuff that surprises people, stuff that they don't know about what I would want or what I like, something like that.
That's understandable. You once lamented to Dr. Wolf that you hate the video making process. Is it safe to assume that you still do even after 2 years?
Yeah, actually it is. I really do, and I don't know, maybe it's that I put a lot of stress on it. Maybe I have ridiculously high standards on it, but yeah, more or less that. And I must say, on the topic of that Dr. Wolf thing, because I do feel like, for lack of a better term, one of his failed patients, because his advice really didn't seem to work for me. I mean, I wish it did, but it just, getting over something like that, perfectionism, in a way, I think maybe it was never meant to be. Maybe my videos that I make aren't supposed to be like that. In fact, one thing I've found which really helps relieve the stress is when I'm doing it kind of like this, where I'm talking with someone else. And that's kind of one of the biggest problems with the solo video. I would rather do something that's not scripted, that's, very natural, very off the cuff, kind of like what I'm doing right now. That's why I've been in a lot of those Rift Cafe podcasts, things like that. It's very off the cuff, and I like that a lot more.
I don't think I'm the only one when I say that I wouldn't mind seeing you make a return. Do you have any plans to maybe make a bigger return?
Well, I've had tons of plans, and all of those have kind of fallen through one way or another. I think a part of me does want to return to it. I need to find a sustainable way of doing it. I would love to do things on MOP all the time, but episodic stuff doesn't really work. I'd have to find someone who's willing to kind of talk with me on whatever I feel like. And because that's kind of the way I prefer to get my ideas flowing. I don't like the script process because I don't write how I speak. When I write, I am writing how I write. And when I'm recording that, I don't feel like I'm speaking. I feel like I'm reading off of a script. And I guess to some extent it's kind of because I go through a lot of phases. And for the past several weeks or so, I've been in like a Pokemon phase. I always watch the show, but maintaining that interest over the long haul, it has to be something that can't take too much time and too much passion, or else there's just no way I can do it. And I would love to make a return.
All right, we're coming to the end of the program. We will wrap things up with the Questionnaire des Pivots. These questions originally came from the French series Bouillon de Culture, hosted by Bernard Pivot. They're better known as the questions that James Lipton asks at the end of every Inside the Actors Studio. There are 10 in total. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, question 1. What is your favorite word?
Connection. I love making connections between all sorts of different ideas, making a connection with someone else, just any sort of connection like that. It's cool. It's fun.
Question 2. What is your least favorite word?
Positivity. And it's weird because the last answer I gave was pretty positive. The reason I don't like that word is more of a function of how that word has been frequently used around me. It's always used in a context of, well, you got to be positive. You got to be positive. Stop being so negative. And I guess in some way I've come to associate the word positivity with forced positivity, of basically being pressured to be happy. And I think that people should be allowed to be in a crummy mood if they so please.
Question 3. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Having a discussion. I could literally be drowsy and almost asleep. And if I'm like in a philosophy course or something like that, just anything that's really a discussion that interests me, I spark up. Especially theoretical discussions, stuff like that. That really gets my blood flowing.
You're a man who enjoys the spoken word.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, with that in mind, what turns you off?
Using the word objectively when that's not the right word. I hate that. Oh, that turns me off so quickly. I'm like, okay, you have just lost me. Because when people use that word in the wrong context, I get so much, like, to me, I feel like that is the ultimate manner of trying to use an intellectual bludgeon to get people to think the way they do. Well, what I'm saying is objectively correct. No, it's not. You just think that.
Sounds like you're not a big fan of the current election.
No, I'm not.
Question number 5. What is your favorite curse word?
It might be a little bit typical, but I think kind of the word fuck.
Fuck is a great curse word.
It's short, it's to the point, it's what I think to say. Whenever I want to cuss, just fuck.
Okay. Well, question number
fuck or shit.
Question number 6. What sound or noise do you love?
Breezes, flowing wind, that kind of thing.
Question 7. What sound or noise do you hate?
Flossing.
Okay, question 8. What profession, other than your own, would you like to attempt?
IO psychologist. That's kind of where I'm really geared to at the moment. That's what I would really like to be. I've worked with Myers-Briggs type indicator a lot. It's like a personality thing. Mm-hmm. And so what IO psychology is, it's use personality info to help someone kind of better be aligned in their career or to help resolve matters, something like that, using personality or, survey answers.
Using data, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. What profession would you not like to attempt?
Anything in sports.
Anything in sports. Okay.
I am not very coordinated. I've done 4 years of marching band. I loved it, but anything like beyond that, no.
Question 10, and this is the final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Life well spent.
If there was a God and that's what he had to say to you, that'd be a huge compliment. That would be what you'd like to hear before you went on to eternal paradise. Am I right?
Yeah.
It's like you did your job, you spent it well, now you can relax. All right, fantastic. Past, it was a pleasure having you on, truly. I look forward to your future endeavors, even if it's simply making appearances on podcasts. As big or as small as they remain, you're always a joy to listen to. Is there anything you'd like to say or promote before we part?
There's something not necessarily on my mind that I'd like to promote. I would just like to say thank you again for having me. And I have to say, I wasn't thinking about starting stuff up again, but you got the gears turning. And maybe in a week or so, maybe I might start something like that. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, if you ever need a guest or somebody to help out, I owe you one. Every pony, this has been the Cornerview with our guest, Past Analysis, a mind full of wonderful insights. Please check the description for a link to Past's channel and look back on some of his works. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please show your appreciation by pressing that like button and maybe adding us to your subscriptions. I've been your host, the Jester Pony Phoolery, here in the corner booth of the Rift Cafe. Enjoy the view, every pony.